Long ago, in the land of Israel, two great armies faced each other across a wide valley. On one mountain stood the Israelites, and on the other, the Philistines. They were preparing for a battle that would decide the fate of their nations. Every morning, a terrifying champion stepped out from the Philistine camp. His name was Goliath, a giant of a man, standing over 9 feet tall. He was covered from head to toe in heavy bronze armor, and he carried a spear so large it looked like a weaver's beam. His voice boomed across the valley, a challenge that struck fear into the hearts of the Israelite soldiers. "Why do you come out and line up for battle?" He would shout, "Choose a man and have him come down to me. If he is able to fight and kill me, we will become your subjects. But if I overcome him and kill him, you will become our subjects and serve us." For 40 long days, this challenge echoed, and for 40 days, the army of Israel trembled. Not a single warrior was brave enough to face the giant. Meanwhile, far from the battlefield in the quiet town of Bethlehem, a young shepherd boy named David was tending his father's sheep. One day, his father, Jesse, called for him. "David," he said, "take this roasted grain and these 10 loaves of bread to your brothers at the camp. See how they are doing and bring me back some token from them." David obeyed at once. He rose early the next morning, left the flock with another shepherd, and set off for the battlefield. When he arrived, the Israelite army was just moving into its battle positions, shouting the war cry. It was then that David heard it for himself, the thunderous, mocking voice of Goliath. The giant stepped forward, repeating his daily challenge. As the Israelite soldiers saw him, they all ran from him in great fear. The men near David were talking amongst themselves. "Have you seen this man?" One said. "He comes out to defy Israel. The king will give great wealth to the man who kills him. He will also give him his daughter in marriage." David was stunned. He couldn't believe what he was seeing and hearing. He turned to the soldiers and asked, "Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?" He was filled not with fear, but with righteous anger. His older brothers heard him speaking and were annoyed, telling him to go back to his sheep. But David's courageous words had already been overheard and reported to King Saul. Soon, David was brought before the king. Saul looked at the young shepherd boy, hardly a man, and was surprised. "You are not able to go out against this Philistine and fight him," Saul said. "You are only a young man, and he has been a warrior from his youth." But David was not swayed. He answered with a confidence that came from deep within his soul. "Your servant has been keeping his father's sheep," he explained. "When a lion or a bear came and carried off a sheep from the flock, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the sheep from its mouth. The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine." King Saul, moved by the young man's unwavering faith, finally agreed. "Go," he said, "and may the Lord be with you." Saul then dressed David in his own tunic, put a coat of armor on him, and a bronze helmet on his head. David tried to walk around, but he wasn't used to the heavy gear. "I cannot go in these," he said to Saul, "because I am not used to them." So he took them off. Instead, he took his shepherd's staff in his hand, went down to a nearby stream, and chose 5 smooth stones. He placed them in the pouch of his shepherd's bag and, with his sling in his hand, he walked out into the valley to meet the giant. As Goliath saw the young boy approaching with nothing but a staff and a sling, he laughed with contempt. "Am I a dog, that you come at me with sticks?" he roared. "Come here, and I'll give your flesh to the birds and the wild animals." But David's voice rang out, clear and bold, filled with a power that Goliath could not understand. "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin," David shouted, "but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands. All those gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves. For the battle is the Lord's, and he will give all of you into our hands." Enraged, Goliath moved in for the kill, his heavy footsteps shaking the ground. But David did not hesitate. He ran quickly toward the battle line to meet him. Reaching into his bag, he took out a single stone. He placed it in his sling and began to swing it around and around, faster and faster. Then, he let it fly. The stone whizzed through the air and struck the giant squarely on the forehead. It sank deep into his skull, and with a groan, the mighty Goliath fell face down on the ground with a tremendous thud. David ran and stood over him. He drew Goliath's own sword from its sheath, and with it, he ended the giant's challenge forever. When the Philistines saw that their hero was dead, they turned and ran in terror. A great shout of victory rose from the Israelite camp as they charged after their fleeing enemies. David, the young shepherd boy, had done the impossible. The king, amazed, asked, "Whose son is this young man?" David returned from the battle, a hero, proving that courage isn't about size or strength, but about faith. The story of David and Goliath teaches us a powerful truth. It shows us that God can use anyone, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, to accomplish great things. The real battle was won not by a stone, but by David's unshakable faith. His courage didn't come from his own abilities, but from his trust in a God who is bigger than any giant. We all face giants in our lives, fears, doubts, impossible situations. But like David, we can face them without fear, knowing that the battle belongs to the Lord. With faith as our sling and courage as our stone, we too can overcome. Thank you for watching. If this story inspired you, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories of faith and courage. We'll see you in the next video.